Good day everyone, this is Patrick from EasyFX Code Training System, and it's Saturday the 7th of March 2020, and this is the weekly analysis for spot gold and dollar yen for the second week of March. And let's start off with spot gold, where you can see that after spinning top, almost a doji on the Monday, after a significant fall on the previous Friday, we managed to rally back up to the 1650 level and then continued to punch through on Thursday and then hit a high of 1692.16 on Friday night and close as a spinning top again, almost a doji. Did spike through the 262 fib extension after recovering from the 50% fib retracement level. So this is a good strong support level, and now we'll see whether this level at the 1650, which was a significant resistance zone, is going to be support. So for next week, we'll see whether it's going to consolidate after this spinning top, and whether it's going to continue to rally higher. This was after the US dollar has weakened significantly, and especially after a surprise rate cut by the Federal Reserve on Tuesday, and this was what drove the spot gold higher on Tuesday. And this was the Federal Reserve was trying to move ahead of the curve and allay fears of the global spread of the COVID-19 virus, as it's been spreading very fast overseas outside of China, and especially into Europe and Middle East now, and US is starting to see cases and 2 deaths already. So next week is going to be a key week, as we'll see how the US dollar reacts for next week to more news on the spread of the coronavirus, and it will depend on whether the nations are able to contain the spread, as the cases in China is declining, but the overseas outside of China, it has been increasing and escalating as it spreads throughout the world. All right. The US news for next week, there is CPI and PPI figures on Wednesday and Thursday, and then on Friday there's a preliminary consumer sentiment figure, and there's also a change in the time for US with moving to daylight saving. So they're going to move the clocks back another hour, so do take note on your MT4 brokers server time. You might need to change some of the settings on your indicators. Alright, let's move some of these fibs to see whether there's any potential targets that we could identify. Start with this one here, and that's for the 138 fib extension. If we take the reversal move from here, and the 138 aligns with last week's weekly R2 pivot, which is at 1737. We'll see how that price action is for next week, but potentially this is a possible reversal setup. All right, as it approaches the 1700 level, let's add in the 1700. Okay, let's take a quick look at the 4-hour time frame, and after retesting the previous swing high, the high of the year at the 1689 level, it paused and tested it a couple of times before the non-farm payroll report came out, which was much better than expected, and that caused a drop in the spot gold, a significant drop of over 400 pips before it recovered, and then gained back control to retest the swing high again and spike through that, but then close well below that level, so there could be consolidation for the first half of next week before we see any bullish momentum. It could retest this 1650 as the support level before building momentum to attempt to reach the 1700 level. Right, so we'll see how that goes when we go through the midweek analysis on Wednesday. Right, and we'll see the impact on the US dollar versus the yen here, and that's the fall of the US dollar from the start of the week. After a gap down, it closed the gap and then continued to fall starting on Tuesday with the Federal Reserve rate cut, and it's fallen all the way back down to 105. So I moved this fib to a reversal and extension to exactly the 162 fib level, just at the 105. And we take a look at the weekly time frame, and that's where it started to move up from. That's where the previous spike from, and the low is at the 105.45 level, the swing low. We'll see whether it's going to retest that level. Let's mark that. It's at 104.446. Okay, so it's not too far away relative to last week's move. So for the moment, the 105 is a key support level, and then the 108 to just below that at the swing low at 107.77. That's going to be the resistance zone. Alright, so all eyes on the US dollar index for next week, and we'll follow up on Wednesday for the midweek analysis. And meanwhile, do check out my other videos on the Euro, Cable, and Aussie. as well as the weekly Ichimoku analysis for Euro and cable. And do have a good trading week, and cheers.